Moving on to the final item, I now refer to the report from the Corporate Director of Law and Governance, including as item 11 on the agenda, presenting the outcome of the review of the Council call-in arrangements. Can I invite Councillor Mohammed Butt to introduce the report and to move the proposed changes in arrangements? You will have up to 3 minutes if you wish.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. The report details the work that was undertaken by the officers to take a look at the scrutiny the call-in procedures, and we are proposing to make a change that when it comes to political groups calling it in, we have a minimum of 2 political groups making the call-in. And that's the changes we're looking to make, right? And that's detailed on page 107 as part of the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Butt. As members will have seen, following the circulation yesterday, notice has also been received for an amendment to the proposals within the report. Can I now invite Councillor Labour to move this amendment? You will have up to 3 minutes, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You would have noticed that Councillor Butt didn't actually make a proper justification for the change. It may be another power grab, it may be another attempt to diminish the scrutiny process in this borough, but I think councillors should think very hard before they accept this and make Brent a laughingstock as far as scrutiny is concerned. Can I remind you of I'll give you 2 examples of things that were called into scrutiny, 2 items where the scrutiny was initiated by the Liberal Democrat Group. The first item relates to Altamira. Those of you who do not know, Altamira is a historic building in Stonebridge. It used to house BASIS, Community Education Service. The administration decided to close down that building for redevelopment some 4 years ago. The intention was to provide some social housing. 4 years later, ladies and gentlemen, after £4 million has been spent on this project, not 1 single unit of housing has been provided. That is why this group, the Liberal Democrats, decided to call that item in, so that we would challenge the actions taken by the executive and the way that that whole project had been handled. Public money squandered on a project that has delivered 0 benefit for anybody. An appropriate item to bring to scrutiny when an executive is failing. The other item that we brought has been in the news in this borough for at least a year. That was the idea to introduce intelligence-led street sweeping and the blue bags for recycling cardboard or paper. No other issue has created so much anger and, more importantly, so much dirt in our streets than that one decision. We called it in, not because we do not believe in the idea of recycling or that segregating paper and cardboard from everything else is a bad idea. It's actually a very good idea. And we came with an alternative proposal that would have dealt with it properly, and that was giving the public a choice of another wheelie bin if they so wished. Because what do you see today? The refuse collectors come and they put the items in the blue bag into a wheelie bin so it can get into the refuse vehicle. In the process, things fall out, they're never picked up, so this council is contributing directly to further dirt. Good ideas proposed as part of a scrutiny process which Councillor Butt, in his wisdom, now wants to destroy. You should think twice before you approve that kind of measure. I urge you to support the amendment that we have moved. Thank you.
Mike.
Do any other member wish to speak? If so, please, could you please raise your hand now to indicate that you would like to participate in the debate on this item. I will then call of each one of you. If so, we can ensure that everyone who has asked is given the opportunity to speak. Councillor Kansagra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Currently, we have an arrangement that 5 councillors can call in an item. Now, that for Liberal Democrats and us works very well. What this proposal brings from the Labour Council, from Mohammed Butt, is that Labour councillors on their own cannot call an item in for call-in. Now, that means that the Labour councillors will need support either from the opposition, which we will be gladly giving them to call it in, but the Labour councils would be reluctant to call the item in with the support of the Conservatives. So what he is trying to do by this amendment is to stifle debate in his own group, which actually is not good for democracy, not good for scrutiny, and I think it should be turned down. We should keep the item that we have. 5 councillors of any group can call in items for scrutiny. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kansagra. Councillor Giorgio.
Thank you. Just to echo what my colleague Councillor Lorber said in moving the amendment, we strongly believe that the call-in system is a good way and an effective way of holding the administration to account and holding them to account on decisions that matter to all of you, the decisions that have a direct impact on your everyday lives, whether it's the blue bags, whether it's money squandered on housing development projects that have never actually delivered any housing for local people. But just following on from Councillor Kansagra, I do think it's really important as Labour councillors for you to be aware that these changes disenfranchise you as well. So as Labour councillors, you won't be able to challenge your leadership. And I know that's probably not allowed, but if there ever came a point where you decided what the administration was doing was wrong, you would need to have support from the opposition for a calling to take place. Now, I will refer in, and I won't take the full 2 minutes because I'm sure everyone wants to get on to the food, but the fact is that in the last term, brave Labour councillors decided to oppose the decision taken by this administration. Not one of them is a councillor now. So what your leader is doing is disenfranchising you and actually ensuring that you don't get the opportunity to voice any opposition to what the administration is saying. You are duly elected in your own right to speak up on behalf of your residents, and when the administration is wrong, when the leadership is wrong, you should be able to do that. This is an affront to democracy, and this is just another example of the way Councillor Butt leads this borough.
Thank you, Councillor Giorgio. As there are no other members who have indicated that they wish to speak on this item, can I now ask Councillor Mohammed Butt if you wish to exercise your right to reply on the debate? If so, you have 3 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. It's truly interesting how people tend to make things personal, but that's absolutely fine. We are here to make sure, right, that the systems and the processes that we implement are work for this administration so that we can continue to provide the help, the support, the guidance, right, that every single one of those residents needs. And this is exactly what we're doing to make sure, right, that accountability is given to yourselves to hold us to account. And this is the right way of doing things. As I said, we cannot support your amendments, and we will continue with the way forward with the amendments that have been proposed by this administration, who have been given the mandate by the people of Brent to do the right thing, and that is exactly what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I am now going to move on to the vote, starting with... Thank you. Can I now ask Councillor Lorber if you're having moved the amendment, you also wish to exercise any right of reply on the debate? If so, you have 3 minutes.
Councillor Butt, you shouldn't take everything personally. There are 57 councillors, including you, in this authority, and every single one has a right to speak up and to defend the rights of their constituents who voted them in. Your proposals deprive councillors from the ability to do so. Our proposals empower people to challenge some of the decisions that have been taken by the leadership and by senior officers of this council. If I was a councillor in Stonebridge, I would be appalled by the Altamira fiasco. I would be ashamed to keep silent and not to challenge what has happened in that particular case. We keep telling our residents that this borough is going to build homes for them. In the case of Altamira, all we have done, all this council has done, is squandered money and built nothing. And if you are a councillor worth the responsibility and the honour of being a councillor, you should never be afraid to speak up, and you should never be afraid to challenge even your leadership when he personally is trying to deprive you of the right to speak up. Thank you.
I'm now going to move to the vote, starting with amendment moved by Councillor Labour in relation to the proposed changes in calling arrangements. Can I therefore ask members in favour of the amendment to raise their hands now? Thank you. Can I now check if any member wish to vote against the amendment? If so, please raise your hands now. Thank you. Do any member wish to abstain from voting on the amendment? If so, could you raise your hand now? No abstention. Yeah. Thank you. On the basis of the vote, I hereby declare the amendment as proposed by Councillor Labour to be lost.